Hello folks. So in this video, we're going to talk about the getText method. Okay, so the getText method in Selenium is used to retrieve the text content of an element on a web page. It is commonly used to extract the visible text from various HTML elements such as paragraphs, headings, span elements, etc. The getText method returns a string. Okay, now this is probably going to be one of your most commonly used methods. You may have to verify paragraphs or text or any sort of text on the web page. You may need to get the text of an element to do something. That will be for you to determine whenever you have to automate a test case where you will have to use this method. Now, this method here does not perform any verification. Okay, so in this video, we're just going to see how we can get the text of elements. Later in the course, I'll show you guys how to perform assertions. Okay, but I just wanted you to get an idea on how you can start interacting with elements. Okay, so I would like to get the text of this sign in button and this forgot password link. Okay, so I'm going to go back to VS Code. I'm going to go ahead and create a new Java class. We'll call it getText, getText.java. Okay, and I'll go ahead and create a main method. Okay, and we are good. Let me go back to the previous class. I'm actually going to copy the statements here up until driver.get. Okay, now feel free to write everything again from scratch. That's fine. It'll be good practice for you actually, but I'll just come here and I'll paste it. Keep in mind that if you have errors, that's because we may have to import those classes. Okay, so I'm going to click on WebDriver, import WebDriver from the Selenium library, and let me import this Chroma driver class from the Selenium library, and we are good. Okay, just to make sure everything works, I'm just gonna go ahead and run the program, and the browser opens. Good, we navigate to this website and we are good. I'm gonna go ahead and close this and we are good to go. Now I'd like to make a comment on this code that we are writing a lot. Don't worry, in the next videos, I'll show you guys how to create common methods and the idea behind common methods so that we don't write redundant code. But right now, we are just learning the basics, okay? Especially if you've never done this before. Be patient and we'll get there, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and close this get title, get current URL class. I don't need it anymore. So here, I'd like to get the text again of this sign in button and this link here. So to interact with an element with Selenium, one thing you have to remember is that we need to inspect this element. Okay, so we need to inspect this element and write a locator. In these videos, we've been using XPath. So I'm going to go ahead and write an XPath. You can inspect this. Here's the thing. When we have elements here that have, for example, text, I like to use the contains text XPath. But again, you can write this XPath in really any way you like. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and write this XPath. I'll say star, open closing bracket, I'll say contains like this. Inside the parentheses, I'll write text, parentheses, comma, and 2 single slashes. I actually wrote an extra comma here. Let me delete this and we are good to go here. Okay, so I'll just type in sign in like this, and this text works. I like to get rid of the asterisk whenever I can to uniquely identify a specific element. So I'll go ahead and replace this with the tag name, which is button here. You can leave the asterisk if you want. However, it's better practice to specify the tag name of that specific element so that Selenium does not select another element by mistake or maybe unintentionally, right? So I'll go ahead and replace this with button. Okay, and we are good. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this XPath. We'll come here and I'll just go ahead and do driver dot find element by dot XPath. I'll go ahead and paste this XPath here and I'll store it in a web element because the find element method returns a web element. So I'll say web element and I'll say sign in. I'll say sign in button text. Okay, and I'll initialize it with this entire statement here. Now we have an error here because we need to import web element from the Selenium library. So click on the bulb and import and you should be good. Okay, so now I'll call the reference variable sign in button, okay, sign in button text, and I'm going to use the getText method. Okay, so if you saw the previous video, we learned that for example, the get current URL or get title methods return a string. Okay, the getText method does as well. Okay, if you hover over it, you see that the return type is a string. So if you actually want to see it in the console, we have to print this statement. Okay, you can store it in a string, or you can just print out this entire statement. It's up to you. So I'll go ahead and just do things quickly here, just for the sake of this video. I'll copy this statement here and I'll paste it right here. Okay, so then I can go ahead and get rid of this. We can concatenate this with some other text just to visibly see it better in the console. So I'll say something like text of sign in button is, okay, and I'll add the additive operator here, and let's go ahead and run this. Let's see what we get. Okay, so Chrome browser opens, we're here, and now I can go ahead and close this browser. Okay, so if you see in your debug console, if you wrote the exact same code, you should be seeing this text of sign in button is sign in. Okay, so that's cool. We've been able to get that text. Let's do the same thing with the forgot password link here. Okay, we can also probably use the same XPath. So I'll use the contains text XPath, except the tag name will change, because maybe you should start writing this down if you haven't already. Every link on a web page, and actually, you know what, we haven't talked about links, but just go ahead and write these notes down. Every link on a web page starts with a tag name A, okay, or anchor tag A. Okay, and you'll see an attribute called href, which is a hyperlink, and the value of the hyperlink is the actual URL. So if you didn't know, and we'll talk about this later, hyperlinks are basically, they look like buttons that you can click on. Like for example, this one, it's not a button, but some text that you can click on. And when you click on it, it takes you to another page. Okay, and when I'm clicking on this forgot password link here, I'm actually clicking on this, but we don't see the URL here. We see forgot password. You can do that so that you can make your website look more user-friendly. Okay, so if you see here with this XPath, I'll replace the tag name with A instead of button, and then I will go ahead and write forgot password. Okay, let's see if instead of sign in, I'll go ahead and write forgot password, and you'll see we already see 1 of 1. I'm gonna go ahead and write out the whole text though, and we are good. So I'll go ahead and copy this XPath, go back to VS Code, and again I'll do driver dot find element by dot XPath, just like this, and I'll go ahead and close the statement. I'll store it in a web element. So I'll say web element, and let's call this forgot password link text. Okay, and now let's go ahead and print it as we did above. So I'll say sysout forgot password link text dot get text. Okay, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Let's do dot get text. And I'll go ahead and concatenate it with some text just to visibly see it better on the console. Again, you don't have to do this. I'm just doing this so we can visibly see it better. So I'll say text of forgot password link is, just like this. And let's go ahead and run this program. Let's see what we get. Okay, so Chrome browser opens, and I can go ahead and stop the test right now. Okay, now just a reminder, I'll show you guys how to properly close the browsers. That's coming up in the next videos, but I have some example there to show you what the difference between driver.close and driver.quit is. Okay, so just be patient, and for now we'll go ahead and close the browsers manually. Okay, so you see here text of forgot password link is forgot password. Okay, so this is how you can get the text of elements. Remember that first you have to locate the element. Once you locate the element, you can do whatever you'd like to do with it. For example, here we are getting the text of those elements. Okay, in the later videos, I'll show you guys how to perform assertions, okay? So you can verify that the text displays as expected. In this video, we did not perform that. It's important to note that the getText method does not perform any verification as well, okay? So keep that in mind. So go ahead and write this code out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.